It's 4th of July weekend, so beware. Don't go off alone. The sound of fireworks may distract people from what's happening inside the car or your truck around here, but they also drown out your screams. It happened 25 years ago in a small town not far from here, at a 4th of July celebration in an open field. As soon as the first fuse was lit, two teenagers headed for the truck and parked near the woods. They thought they were slick, but the friends saw them go. They rolled their eyes and smiled, but no one stopped them. Out in the country, a 45-minute display wasn't unusual when the price of admission was a box of celebratory explosives. It was plenty of time for the couple to return. But they weren't back yet. They ran to the boys' truck with intentions of banging on windows to scare them. They stopped in their tracks when instead of foggy windows, they found the passenger side door left open. They looked inside to find an empty truck. One girl stood still while quietly calling the others to the driver's side. As they came around the front of the truck, they saw a blood trail leading into the woods. They looked over to see their frozen friends staring at the door. But her fear and confusion wasn't from blood running down the broken window and door. It was the fisherman's hook hanging from the door handle. Legend has it, by the time the police got there, no trace of evidence was left. Not even the hook. It's all true, so stay with your friends, for you never know when the Hookman may appear. The events in tonight's episode are real, drawn from history, folklore, and whispered accounts. The Academy's connection to these events exists only in legend, as intended. Before you enter these halls, heed warning. Tonight's chilling tales are not for the faint of heart. All those who enter must be prepared to explore stories of darkness, mystery, the macabre, and all of the darkest parts of humanity. If tales of true crime, the paranormal, or other creatures that go bump in the night unsettle you, turn back now. This is not the place for you. Also, by entering, you are now and forevermore an inductee to Dark Academy, bound by all rites and rituals. For those of you brave souls who stayed, welcome to Dark Academy. I'm Kristen, and I'll be your guide. Grab your candle and follow me to our haunted library of horror. Please, come join me by the fireplace. Welcome back to the Midnight Library Circle, where we meet to discuss all things horror. We start with a movie that leads into the story, or stories of the day. I'll close out with a smaller related story in our final fright. Before we proceed, with any movie, there is always a chance for a spoiler. If you have not seen this movie or don't care to, skip ahead to the main story. Here in the States, we have a big birthday coming up. It's our 250th. So I thought it would be fun to watch a 4th of July movie, horror style. Tonight we're going to a small fishing village in North Carolina for I Know What You Did Last Summer. Longest horror movie title ever. Not really. Actually, it's Night of the Day of the Dawn, of the Son of the Bride, of the Return of the Revenge, of the Terror of the Attack, of the Evil Mutant Hellbound Flesh-Eating, Subhumanoid Zombified Living Dead, Part 3. So not even close. We start off on a mountainous, winding road hugging the coast of North Carolina. Thank God this is a fictional town because none of that exists on the Carolina coast. It is a dramatically beautiful scene with a drunken man sitting on the edge of a cliff, though. He's seemingly contemplating death while holding a silver pendant, some kind of sentimental jewelry, or he's just carelessly looking down at the angry waves crashing against the rocks below. But he's interrupted by fireworks. We are now taken to a very flat, much more realistic fishing town in Southport, to the 47th Croaker 4th of July Festival, where our 4 stars are introduced and Buffy is crowned Croaker Queen. The other 3, Julie, Barry, and Ray, are watching the pageant from the balcony. Helen and Barry are a couple, and Julie and Ray are as well. They party at a festival until Barry gets in a scuffle with a schoolmate who obviously has a crush on Julie. They leave to go to the beach. All 4 have promising futures ahead. Ray and Helen are heading to New York. Ray for philosophy, Helen serving her country as a serious actress. Julie to college in Boston. Barry has a football scholarship. I didn't catch where. They make a thing out of Julie basically agreeing to have sex for the first time. Normally, I would find it so 90s and unnecessary, but in this case, it follows the campfire story. They discuss the Hookman's urban legend. He's hanging over the car, fingernails scratching the roof. No. It's blood dripping from a slit throat. No. He's been gutted. No, says Ray. You all have it wrong. The original, they just find a hook hanging from the door. And it really happened. It did. Julie says it's not real. It was just a way to keep girls from having sex. Which is what wraps me back around to the big deal made about her doing it for the first time. And all of this seems to be setting us up to think Ray is this great, respectful guy. We trust him when he gets behind the wheel of Barry's car, since Barry is too drunk. Barry changes the radio station, hangs out of the sunroof, having a great time, then drops his alcohol on Ray while he's driving too fast around winding roads. During the freakout, Ray hits something unseen. They pull to a halt, getting out to see what they hit. Reminder, this is a winding road, people flying around. You, as well, are now in danger. But apparently this is a desolate stretch of road no one but them are on. But all they are concerned about is the man laying dead in the road. Oh my God, this is manslaughter. We're all going down. We all have such bright futures. He's already dead. It was an accident. Why should we all suffer? It won't bring him back to life. Nice guy Ray pushing the hardest. Not the loudest. That would be the entitled rich kid Barry. Ray was driving. There's alcohol all in the car. He doesn't have the support system the others have. All of this suggesting a rags to popular story. A car is quickly approaching, forcing them to make a decision. Throwing the dead guy over the rails and pretending Barry was puking was the fairly smart decision. Very believable, at least. It's the guy from the party who likes Julie. Max is his name. Julie and Ray talk to him to get rid of him. He makes fun of Ray and leaves. Let's take him to the docks. By the time he washed ashore, the evidence will be washed away as well, if he washes up at all. Barry and Ray made the most sense to throw him off, but Ray was all like, I can't. If you're all in on covering up your own transgressions, yes, you can. But my girl Helen stepped up. She's been hanging on hard to this Miss Croker crown all night, but the dead guy pops up, not dead, and grabs it from her head as they push him in. He's going down with only the crown in his hand above water, like a redneck saving his beer from drowning. Barry jumps in to get it, evidence and all. The guy's eyes pop open underwater, but Barry is able to get it. He gets away, gets out of the water, and forces everyone to swear to never speak of this again. We take this to our graves. Say it. You have to say it. We take it to our grave. We jump to a year later. Julie is at college. We have to see she made it. Julie is smart. She immediately goes back home, where she gets the title card. I know what you did last summer. Who knows? It's kind of like that time I came home from spring break and my mom says, What did you go and do, stupid? I panicked. Like, what does she know? But it was just a henna tattoo. Oh, Mom. That'll be gone in 2 weeks. Whew. Julie's transgressions wouldn't wash away like arm art, though. We see no one is doing well, at least not the bright futures they had planned. Julie did make it to college, but she's depressed. Helen's acting career fell apart. Ray is a fisherman now. Barry is unclear for me. Sounded like he was home from college maybe, so maybe the rich kid is fine. But Barry and Helen broke up. Ray and Julie broke up. Back to the note. Who is the only person who could know? Max. So tough guy Barry threatens him. He'll never bother us again. We do see Max get himself up with a hook, though. Oh my gosh, is he the killer? Julie dispels Ray's concerns that she blames him for what happened. I take responsibility for my own actions. But I don't want to know you. Ouch. After a boxing workout, Barry finds a Polaroid picture of his car with the message, I know. While he's running around the locker room trying to figure out who left it, the person steals his jacket with his keys. Barry runs out of the gym to find someone in his car. The driver speeds backwards and stops suddenly. Barry just stands in the road. Dumbest trope ever. The driver blares the headlights, shifts into drive, and runs Barry over. Like, get out of the road. A man in a slicker gets out with a fishhook in hand, but for some reason doesn't kill Barry. He's obviously toying with them. Our group meets up at the hospital where Barry is recovering. Who would do this? We can still go to the police. No, I'm not, and you're not. Well, it must be a friend or a family member. Listen, I get finding out who knows him, but going to their house and talking to them, not too smart. But then we wouldn't get Hillbilly and Hesh. Our car broke down, so we thought we'd climb through your window way out here in the country to use your phone. Ha, sorry. We find out a friend came to see her to pay respects. Billy Blue. We're looking for Billy now, because that's a real name. Helen goes home and gets a Coke from her fridge. She doesn't see the Hookman come into her house and go upstairs. When she goes upstairs and into her room, we expect a death scene. Her room is empty, though. The camera pans to her closet. He's in there. But she gets ready for bed. Her rude sister comes in to try to get her to work the following day. I can't work, Elsa. I have to be in the parade. I'm last year's queen. It's tradition. Her sister leaves, but not before heckling Helen about her hair obsession as she brushes her hair. The girl hates her sister. Helen's room tells us who she is in this world. Figure skater, cheerleader, maybe a bit vain, so we can probably put together that hair is about to be gone. She makes it through the night without being murdered, but she wakes up with her crown on her head and her hair chopped off. But not too short, because then she wouldn't be pretty for the rest of the movie. There's also a message on her mirror that says, soon. She calls Julie. Oh, what? He cut your hair? Oh my God. And I get it. It's not just about that. There was a man in your room who messed with you in your sleep, but they are making the biggest deal about the hair. On her way to Helen's, Julie pulls over to investigate a weird noise in her trunk. Live crabs? And a dead man? It took me a minute to figure out it was Max. Barry and Helen are sitting on Helen's bed when Julie comes running in. Surprisingly, Barry doesn't make a huge deal as he normally does, but he's still doubtful. The body and crabs are gone. It was here, I swear. What must these neighbors think? This girl out in the road spinning around with her arms out. One of the most memorable moments in this movie, by the way. He's got us, Barry. He has your jacket. We can't go to the cops now, and what are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for? Dang teenagers. He must believe her somewhat, because as soon as Barry sees Ray, he hits him. It must be you. You're a fisherman. The only one in this fishing town. Oh, you got a letter, Ray? Helen gets her hair chopped off, I get run over, Julie gets a body in her trunk, and you get a letter. And where is this letter, Ray? Barry, we have to stick together. It's Billy Blue. Who? Some friend from the class of 92, here to seek revenge. My sister is class of 92. Let's look at her yearbooks. We're going to stop him. I'll go back to his sister's house and see who Billy Blue is, because that's not his real name. You go past the crown. You, Barry, the one he already ran over with a car. Make sure he doesn't kill Helen. Sure, I'll kick his butt. But not Ray. Ray wants to get out of town. Let's just go. Julie wants to face him down. No, Ray. It's 4th of July. It's his day. It's happening tonight. I want my life back. What's it gonna be, Ray? At the parade, Barry bodyguards at the front of Helen's Miss Croaker float. She sees someone in a slicker and yells, Barry, it's him! Get him! So he runs after him. This is so stupid. Stay in public. Let him come to you. Poor Helen with the bob is alone now. He tackles some poor innocent man who, for some reason, comes to a parade in full slickers. Cut to Julie back at Missy's house. She tells Julie her brother couldn't handle what happened to his girlfriend who died the year before, so he killed himself and left a note. Except the note says, I will never forget last summer. Found last summer would mean the summer before that. This goes back further than we thought. Julie tells Missy this isn't a suicide note. It's a death threat. No, Missy says. Yes, Julie says. We hit him. It was him. She saw his tattoo of Susie on his arm. He didn't have a tattoo, Missy says. Who other than her love would have a tattoo on her name? Her father. I knew that man they dumped in the water looked older. And if that was Susie's father, how did he get the silver jewelry David was playing with while hanging off the cliff? Kind of looking like Susie's dad killed David and y'all almost killed him. But he's got Jason and Michael DNA and can't be killed, obviously. We're taken back to the pageant where Barry is watching Helen from the balcony again. I don't remember anybody doing it during her pageant, but she sits off to the side of the stage where she can't control her face during a cringy talent performance. She screams for Barry when she spots the Hookman in the balcony, but it's too late. He attacks. She runs screaming to help him. For some bizarre reason, everyone restrains her. A police officer shows up to check it out. Of course, they find nothing, and she looks crazy. This man fishhooks Barry, and the only blood left is a small amount dripping on a stair rail. Okay. After having her crown literally pulled from her hands, the cop takes her home, mocking her the whole way, telling her he's heard this story before, but it was a mental patient with a hook for a hand. Did he cut your hair with that hook too? Ha ha ha, hilarious pig. And might I ask why she's not in the front seat? Is she your prisoner? Of course, there's a roadblock that the police officer can't get out and move. Oh no, we have to go into the alley. Is this the only street through the town? You can't turn around? Guess not. Oh look, a man in a slicker broke down in the alley. I'll only be a minute. No, you won't. This is about to be your life. And I know he believes her now because the hook is in his guts. She breaks the car window and gets away, running to her family store where Elsa, her sister, is still there, whose disdain for her sister almost gets her killed. I hate this horror trope. Nobody believes you. Like a girl is screaming and freaking out. Everybody immediately goes to, "What are you screaming about? Just calm down. You are causing the problem by being insane. Let's belittle you instead of acting on the emergency until you know it's not." As far as we've been shown, she's not someone who has commonly been known to go around causing these issues. It's just stupid for her to be treated this way. Why does it take keys to lock and unlock these doors from the inside? That seems like a fire and murder hazard. But Elsa finally seems to take her seriously and lock the doors. Why is the back door not locked already? People, I don't care how safe your small town is, lock your doors. Do you really want to be the first one that causes everybody else to lock their doors? From the door movement, it's obvious he's already in the store. And slow behind gets killed quickly. Elsa is down. So far, only rude people are dead, so we don't really care. But not our Helen. She hears her sister scream, then so loudly shouts, "Elsa! Elsa, where are you?" Girl. I honestly don't know what I'd do and how I'd react if I suddenly saw one of my loved ones murdered, but I hope survival instincts would override this reaction. Screaming bloody murder, when the murderer that caused that blood is still after you, is wild. Then she does all this work to get a dumbwaiter-looking thing to take her to the second floor as he casually walks up the stairs. And, oh my, he's up here too. How? Though this whole setup feels like going back to the 80s version of running from the killer, she does get away and out the window. Julie runs dramatically into an empty theater as though she didn't notice the whole place was dead before entering. What? Was Helen supposed to be in there alone on stage? I really don't know what she was looking for here. And please tell me how this guy knew exactly where Helen would run and beat her there from the other side. Slasher tracking and wormholes. Has to be. He attacks her with perfect timing, synchronization with the fireworks display. Julie runs out of the theater, into the streets with some sort of, "Who should I find?" ADHD. I was looking for Harry and Barry. "Oh, Ray!" To his boat. He just happens to come out at the exact time, acting shady. Even worse, she just now notices his boat is named Billy Blue. Dun dun dun. Oh my god, Ray, you're Billy Blue. It's looking like, at the very least, Ray has already pieced together everything they just took an hour to figure out in this movie. Let us know, Ray. Jeez. She's running and he's chasing her. But then some random guy, not in a slicker but obviously a fisherman, and dad-aged. Yep, we're just going to listen to him to run onto his boat. Are we that convinced it's your ex-boyfriend who has more reason to be hunted than hunt? Like, why would he be doing this? Just because he's a fisherman? Now, maybe because he went out to the victim's sister's house and started a relationship with her, he's the killer? He went out there just like you did, except you weren't as cute as him. Different outcomes. not a killer, Julie. She gets on the boat and, oh no, there's a slicker hat on a fishing boat. Only our killer wears one of those. There's a killer-obsessed wall of newspaper clippings. Oh no, I've made a grave mistake. I trusted some rando instead of Ray. This is the one monster reveal that isn't horrible. Scary man on a boat with a hook. Still terrifying. But I'm personally taking my chances in the water. Kristen overboard. I'm swimming. Not running around a boat. Please, Ray, I'm sorry, I thought it was you. Come save me, please. But Ray, while you're on your way with that boat, instead of jumping into the water so you can come get me, I'm going deeper into this man's boat, making it harder for you to save me and easier for the killer to get me. I feel good about this. Stupid, stupid. Ray climbs aboard, distracting the killer. It is Ben Willis, Susie's father. They start fighting. Julie decides to go through the boat that inside looks like a small ship. It's huge in there. Ray gets the better of Ben, but just starts walking away. Listen, I love Kevin Williamson, but these killer murder scenes are pretty bad. It's like Scream never happened. Ray has a harpoon, I think, some sort of spear weapon for fish, but he still can't get Ben. He's holding his own until distracted from this idiot yelling, Ray! He gets knocked off the boat. There goes your savior. And let me not mention the sound effect that don't match a hook hitting him. Okay, I just did. Julie's done behind goes back downstairs to get herself trapped. Ray somehow managed to hold on to some rope or fishing net in the water. This is a real hero right here. He climbs up it to get back on the boat. Just as Ben says, there's no place to hide. Julie slips into a second location that has water in it. There's another door that leads to an ice location I'm assuming is for caught fish. I don't know fishing boats if you can't tell. But the size and layout of this underpart seems impossible. It's just huge. She gets into this ice section and leaves the door open with her shirt still on the handle. Let's leave clues and open entryways, Julie. And she starts shoving ice at the door after getting it closed. Seriously. How did she get into college? How does she survive so many movies? While trying to push more ice toward the door, she finds Helen and Barry's dead bodies. And, ah! If he didn't already know where you are from that shirt you left behind, he does now. And this man found you from the other side of his own boat. How? It's like he knows the layout or something. So strange. But he obviously doesn't know Ray is back on the boat because Ray is able to hit him with one of those big crane hooks. This is definitely one of those movies that gives you anxiety and makes your stomach clench due to the idiotic behaviors of the victims. They should not survive. Because Ray does not make sure this guy is dead. Instead, he turns his back on him and sticks his hand out to help Julie climb up a perfectly good ladder. He even takes time to close the door. My hand slaps my forehead at this point. It's too much. And surprise, he's still alive and coming after you. He knocks Ray down. And maybe this is where the killer is done. Make sure Ray is dead. Then all you have left is Julie. She's probably just going to throw her hands up and scream. But they get lucky when he rears his hook hand back to kill Julie, and it gets caught in some ropes. Ray pulls some lever that yanks Ben up. The force chops his hand off at the pulley. His foot gets stuck in more ropes as he falls back down, but it releases and swings him into the water. They just created a real Hookman. While the police are processing the crime scene on the boat, Ray admits to seeing Missy. He didn't tell Julie because he wanted her back. Even though it could have gotten you killed on suspicion of murder and hysteria from the other three. But oh, Julie, I couldn't lose you again. I love you. Oh, Ray, I understand your pain. Let's hug. A detective walks over. Any idea why this man wanted you dead? No, sir, not a clue. We're young and innocent victims. Ben's hand and hook can be arrested, but his body is still missing. It'll probably wash up. They usually do. His won't. Epilogue. 1 year later, Julie is back at school. She made the dean's list. And giddy, Ray, I miss you. I'm in a towel. Don't you suggest sexual actions over the phone? You can ravage me in 2 weeks. I suspect ravage is not the right word for Ray, but I could be wrong. Hee hee, I have to go take a shower. But Julie James, you got mail. Is it a Ben message? The music says so. But it's an invite to a pool party. But that's not the only message. The shower is impossibly steamy when she returns, written on the glass. I still know. He busts through the glass. Roll credits. But somehow she must get away because there is another movie. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025. There was a straight-to-video standalone with totally different characters. And a TV series that does a modern take on the original novel of the same name. I've never seen either of them, so tell me what you thought. Even with my criticism of the horror scenes, I do actually love this movie. It's a 90s classic. And, hot take, I even like the sequel. I thought it was fun. Julie is smart enough to make the dean's list, but stupid enough to fall for winning a vacation on the wrong answer. It tracks for her character. And I love the stuck on an island trope. And all communications go out from Major Storm trope. And Bohemian Jack Black. Come on, people. It's kind of great. But you have your right to your opinions. You have a right to be wrong. So, there are no exact stories, just like a fisherman revenge killing teenagers with a hook. But there are a few cases similar to some of the themes. If you're like me, you devour every true crime documentary Netflix puts out the night it drops. That is, if you aren't watching something else someone else wants to watch and you don't feel like being a baby and whining about it, then you have to wait. Anyway, I did get to watch Should I Marry a Murderer? A lot of people didn't like the girl, but I loved her. Did I understand all the decisions she made? Not all of them, but I made some very questionable decisions in my life, so who knows what I may have done in her shoes. Judge not. Either way, when details started coming out about what the man did, the man in question of marriage, all I could think about was I Know What You Did Last Summer. And how it was a hit and run and they tried to cover it up. The similarities mostly in there, other than the fact that someone else knew and was trying to take them down for it, in a different way. And both victims weren't killed by the original hit and run. And the movie makes us care more about the perpetrators than the victims. So let's care about the victim. Tony Parsons, a 63-year-old husband, dad, and granddad at the time of his death in 2017, was on a charity ride that ended up being his last. Cycling 167 kilometers, or 104 miles, from Fort William back to his home in Tillicoochee, or just Tilly to the locals, to aid a prostate cancer charity. He himself had been treated for prostate cancer and wanted to give back. The last place he was seen was at the Bridge of Orkney Hotel. The Police Scotland searched with mountain rescue teams and volunteers, but no trace of him was ever found. It wasn't until 2020 that anyone other than Parsons and his killers knew what happened. It all started with Tinder. A forensic pathologist named Dr. Caroline Muirhead met who she thought was to be the love of her life, 25-year-old Alexander McKellar. In a whirlwind romance, she drove hours each way, very often to see this man in the 9,000-acre estate he and his twin brother lived and worked near Bridge of Orkney, even after finding out his secret. The secret standing in the way of her wedding bliss. After accepting his proposal, Caroline asked if there was anything that may come up in the future that may become an issue. After moments of contemplation, he confesses to murder. He and his brother had been out drinking with a German hunting party at a local hotel. On their way home, they hit a cyclist on the A82, a scenic road connecting Glasgow to Inverness via Fort William. Instead of getting out to check on the man, they panicked. They continued to the farm to change trucks and leave their phones. They drove back to the man they left laying on the side of the road. After loading his bike and Parsons, who was still alive according to them, they hid him in the woods until they could dispose of his body properly in a pit with other dead animals. His bike was never found in the spot they chose behind a waterfall. In fact, it was the perfect cover-up. Except there were developers who were coming to build on the area where the body was buried. So the twins needed help moving it. What a perfect person to help. A forensic pathologist. She agreed, but wanted to be shown the site first, so Alexander took Caroline clay shooting in the area. When he took her to the specific burial spot, she left an empty can of Red Bull for the police to find. Eventually they did. And they did find Parsons' body. There's a whole ordeal of how we got from that to the twins being arrested that you can watch on that Netflix special, but long story short, the police endangered Caroline's life, and I would never seek out the police again. You killed somebody? Cool. Let me gather my things. You won't hear from me or the cops. You can bet on that. The twins did end up getting jail time. Alexander was sentenced to 12 years and his twin brother Robert was sentenced to 5 years and 3 months. Though the family did get a 6-figure settlement for the wrongful death of Tony Parsons, it'll never replace the man those drunken actions made that night. Our next story comes out of Virginia in the late 80s. Multiple killings of young people occurred between Jamestown, Williamsburg, and Yorktown. Some are connected through DNA evidence, while others are circumstantially connected. Some found in their vehicles. Some never found at all. One fisherman is known to have killed some, yet some believe multiple killers. Either way, the Colonial Park Murders is still a web not fully untangled. A local fisherman named Alan Wade Wilmer died as a free man in 2017 at the age of 63. Though he was a suspect, DNA evidence did not connect him to the murders until 2024, and just this year in 2026. This DNA evidence connected him to couple Rebecca Dowski and Kathy Thomas, assumed couple David Knobling and Robin Edwards, Lori Ann Powell Compton and Teresa Howell. Proximity and circumstances connected him to Cassandra Haley and Keith Call. The last two have never been found. The couples were in a lover's lane situation. Dowski and Thomas were a lesbian couple. Knobling was a 20-year-old man with a 14-year-old Edwards, and Call was a young man on a date with Haley while on a 2-week break from his girlfriend. I personally wonder if this was some sort of mission-oriented killer, lesbian, pedophile, cheater. Of course, the last one would require personal knowledge of the couple. It's just a thought, though. Unless the two women had something he deemed undesirable, like Howell going to a club or Powell fighting with her boyfriend. Maybe he didn't like the sound of their last names since they rhyme. Who knows why psychos kill? It's usually some dumb reason. Then there is Brian Pettinger. He disappeared after leaving a ballroom dance hall with fellow dancer Wayne Elliott Mack. His car was later found in a mall parking lot. His body was found floating in a marsh by a fisherman. Mack was a suspect. When he died by suicide a few months later, it only fueled speculation. Want to know something strange, though? Pettinger worked at the same security service company as the mom of one of Wilmer's known victims, Robin Edwards. But as weird as it is, he's never been publicly announced as one of Wilmer's victims. So technically, Pettinger's murder remains unsolved. There are a few others people sometimes link to Wilmer. Anna Marie Phelps and Daniel Lauer, for example. They were driving to Virginia Beach, but they were found near a rest stop, not a lover's lane. Their bodies were found too decomposed to have any real evidence. It's not known if they were even murdered, really. But why would you leave the car? Also, the car was at a rest stop, but had grass and dirt under the car as though it had been driven off-road. But, people pull over on shoulders, so it could be that. There are too many unknowns in this case to connect them to Wilmer directly. There are a few others even more loosely related. Michael Sturgis, or Mike Margaret, 21, and Donna Lynn Hall, 18. They're thought by some to be the first two since it occurred 2 years before the canonical murders. There are enough differences and no DNA evidence to connect them. Those last few are connected to the Colonial Parkway murders, but not necessarily Alan Wilmer. There's another murder connection that stands out to me, though. That's the murder of Mary Keyser Harding. She worked at the same bank as Brenda Pittman Wilmer, not Alan Wilmer's wife, his older brother Keith Wilmer. A murder Keith was suspected of since he had been banned from the bank for sexually harassing customers and employees, including the murder victim Harding. This was in 1985, 1 year before the rest of the killing started. Though so many were linked to Wilmer, it is thought there were possibly multiple murderers, so there may be another killer out there who has yet to be identified. Now it's time for our final fright. My opening story in the beginning was to set us up for the hook killer in I Know What You Did Last Summer, but also for this, the Hookman. This American urban legend began in the 1940s. a cautionary tale for teens and young adults thinking of smooching at their local lover's lane. There are many variants as the legend evolves, but the original one goes something like this. The scene starts with a young couple parked in a remote location for privacy. Their romance is interrupted by a radio bulletin announcing an escaped killer with a hooked hand on the loose in their immediate area. The panicked boy quickly drives away. Then they arrive home safely. They find a hook on the door handle or the roof. In the 50s, the legend grows. Now the girl wants to leave and the boy wants to stay. The hook is found on the passenger door. Asylums were feared in the 60s, so the killer became an escaped mental patient. This is probably the version our parents heard growing up. The 70s saw a boom. There was a hunger for all things horror. Books, newspapers, stories of ghosts, and true stories. It all starts with, "This really happened to my cousin's best friend's brother." Camp counselors told stories to terrified campers by the fire. Kids returned home with their version. Soldiers shared terrifying tales in military bases. News reports of actual escapees and Lover's Lane murders fueled the legend. It was the Hookman. Now there's scratching on the roof. And it's from someone standing on the car. The killer could even be under the car, dragging their hook. University folklore professors began studying urban legends told on campuses in the 1970s. So by the 80s, Jan Harold Brunvand documented them in books like The Vanishing Hitchhiker. After that, Hollywood movies basically wrote themselves. We know what happened in the 90s. Kevin Williamson took his childhood and added it to the hook legend. I Know What You Did Last Summer fed back into the story by adding the fisherman's hook instead of a hook prosthetic, a fisherman instead of an escapee. 2000s didn't add much, just switched radio and TV for texts, Amber Alerts, and police reports. 2010s, creepypastas and social media posted the stories through the internet. Videos in the internet seem to be removing these stories by telling us it was an urban legend. It's not real. What seems to be happening now, though, is a flood of what seems to be, quote-unquote, real. This specialist says it's not real. This other qualified person says it is. Things are covered up. Conspiracy theories actually being true. There are actual stories of Lover's Lane crime. When we have too much info and don't know who to believe, we're back to legends. And AI images and video will make it even harder to prove or disprove. I've heard it said, the more we know, the more we realize we know nothing. And does it really matter? It's a cautionary tale to help keep you safe. So sit back, enjoy the fun stories, and keep your head on a swivel. And that's all I have for you on I Know What You Did Last Summer and the Hookman urban legend. One last thing, happy birthday to the United States of America. May we remember to stay united. Thank you for joining me here at Dark Academy. Let me walk you out. I hope you enjoyed this dark and chilling tale and will come back next time for another one. Don't forget to leave a review for this episode before you leave. I'll try to post pictures and other content on our virtual bulletin board. That's TikTok and Instagram at Dark Academy Pod. You can rate your experience here at the Academy on any podcast app. But I would also love it if you could write a review on Apple Podcast. It really helps more people find us. Also, please tell your friends. That's the best way to get the word out. You can also email me at darkacademypod@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and I'll meet you here next time. Same time, same place, for it's always midnight at Dark Academy. Bye.